Good morning, everyone. I am doing my reverse Nero. I arrived in Hamburg last night, slept. This morning I'm doing my resupply, and it's my hope that within the next hour that I can have my resupply finished and start to prepare to get back out on the trail today. So I'm about to go into the world's largest Cabela's, from what I've been told by locals here, just for one little thing. So I need to get a new backpacking stove today. My MSR Pocket Rocket Deluxe has broken. Long story short is there's a piece that probably just got worn from use. Anyway, it's snapped, and so whenever I tilt the stove on its side, like while it's being carried, it falls into about 4 different pieces. So I'm gonna pop into Cabela's and hopefully get a replacement. All right, everybody, I just got dropped off by a shuttle from where I got picked up yesterday. Got my new stove. I'll talk about it later today. But for right now, it's time to get back on the trail. So we start off today immediately with a pretty steep climb out of Hamburg. This is going to be one of really 2 big steep climbs that we're going to have today as we make our 14.5 miles to Eckville shelter. So good morning, everyone. It is good to be back on the trail. I switched up my regular routine for this Nero that I took today. And it's probably not even appropriate to call it a Nero. To me, a Nero is any day where I'm hiking less than really 10 miles. But I've taken to calling anything below my typical miles a Nero. So I set out on the AT with a goal of having an average of 15 miles per day. Lately, as I'm sure everyone has probably seen, I'm averaging 20 or better. And so really, to me, a Nero now has become anything where I'm hiking less than 15 miles that involves, you know, a town. I did it because it was an opportune moment to hike a big day yesterday, 24 miles to get into Hamburg. And yesterday evening, that afforded me the opportunity to begin my chores, laundry, planning out the next couple of days' hikes, confirming that my plan is good, planning out how much food I have remaining versus how much I'll need, and things of that nature. And this morning, I was really going about putting that plan together. I can't tell you what a relief it is, though, to be back in the woods, really after every Nero, because, at least for me, a Nero is a really compressed day filled with activities. All of those town chores, the showers, the laundry, the resupply, the planning, all of that takes up time. So really from the moment I get to wherever I'm staying in a town, I go right about my work, and I am able to finally relax once I get my feet on dirt or rock, as is sometimes the case. And because then it's just about the hike. So it's good to be back in the woods, even though I wasn't out for that long. So today, as I mentioned earlier, is a 14.5 mile day to Eckville Shelter. Eckville Shelter is very similar to the 501 shelter that I stopped at just 2 days ago. It is not as large. So it's a fully enclosed shelter, has 6 bunks, I understand, has a solar shower, a water spigot for fresh water, has a porcelain toilet facility, so not a privy, and it's an achievable distance given the fact that I'm starting later than I typically do. So the first big climb is done, and I'm gonna cruise on a ridge for a couple miles, go down into another valley, and then come back up another steep climb, and then pretty much ridge walk that one for several miles, and then eventually I will go down into a second valley where Eckville Shelter is going to be located. The trail is very smooth. Still enjoying my walk through Pennsylvania. So while I'm walking though, I thought I would take an opportunity to answer a comment from one of the viewers. Actually, I've received this comment from a couple of different viewers, and because I've been asked more than once, I just thought maybe, you know what, maybe there's a common interest. So I'm gonna go ahead and answer it here. And so the question was, am I always alone on the trail? Or am I hiking with people? Am I making friends? You know, questions are kind of related to that. And I assume it's because I'm always seen by myself, at least for the most part. So quick answer is I hike alone. I actually prefer to hike alone. I don't mind hiking with people, but my preference is to hike by myself for a number of reasons. One, I fully believe in the concept of hike your own hike. And whenever you have multiple people that are hiking together, oftentimes in order to stay together, someone has to compromise, either on pace, on distance, in time spent at points of interest, in decisions as to whether or not you will take a blue blaze to a point of interest, or whether or not you want to stop at a particular shelter. All kinds of factors come into play. So I do like to set my own agenda for the day, if you will. And so for that reason, I like to hike by myself. Another reason why I like to hike by myself is noise. It's very common, at least that I've seen, with hikers that hike together, is that they spend their days talking to one another while they're on the trail. And I think that's all well and good. It's a great time to communicate because there's no outside distractions. But for myself, I prefer to be immersed into the woods, to listen to the sounds of the birds. and the creak of the trees and things of that nature. And I also prefer to walk by myself because when I'm walking by myself, I'm able to stay quiet. And being quiet helps you encounter wildlife and things of that nature. So all of those things are factors as to why I prefer to hike by myself. Now, as to whether or not I'm alone in the evenings, typically not. I have hiked around a number of hikers, but for a variety of reasons, and because of Hike Your Own Hike, we separate over time. So the hikers that I started with on February 26th, they're all about 5 or 6 days ahead of me. I know this because I can see where they sign in shelter logs as to what days they pass through. And the distance was gained primarily because of zeros, you know. Now I've taken more than 5 or 6 days worth of 0 days, but other hikers take 0 days too. And so that's when, you know, that distance apart shrinks and expands. So that's one group, but during the time outside of that group, I've come to know several other backpackers. I will use a backpacker named Band-Aid as an example. Band-Aid and I met at about the 550 mile mark, actually at the quarter-way point, and unintentionally, we just keep bumping into one another. And Band-Aid is just one example of hikers that you unintentionally just happen to hike around. And then there are other backpackers that I have met that, you know, sometimes you see them have a good conversation, meet during a shelter stay, and never see them again. Or you never know, further down the line, you may pass them again. That's happened to me with a couple of different backpackers. So I'm not alone. There are many backpackers out here that I either meet randomly for single occurrences, or we just kind of keep bumping into each other. So I hope this answers the questions as to, you know, if I'm hiking with somebody or if I'm all alone out here and things of that nature. I do want to say this is a very sociable activity, and so the shelters are great places for backpackers to come together for time to be social. And when I do get to shelters, even if there are backpackers there, typically I do not film because every backpacker is tired and they are wanting to wind down, do their camp chores, and eventually go to sleep. And so filming at the site, I feel is a distraction and also quite possibly an interference to the calm as everybody's winding down from their day of hiking. So that's why I don't film a lot at shelters either. So there you go. Just a little bit of why I hike alone and a little bit of information about other hikers that may be around me. "85 years of the Appalachian Trail." Do the math. 75 years was celebrated in 2012. I love this trail. Well, everybody, it is going great today. We're 5.9 miles into the day. Just now starting our second big climb for the day. Pace has been pretty good. Trail has been pleasant. I'm averaging 2.7 miles per hour. Got some good shade. It's a good day to be on the AT. Well, everybody, after 3 days of walking through woods and seeing fog, we're finally treated to a great view. This is the Pulpit. End of our second big climb of the day. So, out of nowhere, the sky opened up on me. Hey, never give up the chance for a free shower, huh? All right, everybody, we are going to take a side little blue blaze and hope that the weather has not taken away any views. Beautiful. Hands down, everybody, this is the nicest view in Pennsylvania that we've had. Despite the storm clouds. So everybody, some weather has developed here, kind of unexpectedly. Started today with a clear forecast, just cloudy skies, but apparently some storm activity is popping up. I'm about 5 miles from the Eckville shelter where I'm staying tonight. So as some people say, I'm gonna put the hammer down on my hiking and speed up my pace a little bit, just to get there, because if we do end up having any storm activity, I want to at least be out of it if possible. Don't mind the rain, but you know, it's important to be safe out here. So I just arrived at the Blue Blaze for the Eckville shelter. It is 0.2 down a road. There's a caretaker's residence, and the shelter is actually behind the caretaker's residence. If you listen closely, you might hear my feet squeaking from the water in my shoes. Well, everybody, I made it to the Eckville shelter. It was a very easy 14.5 miles into the shelter today. The trail continues to be very smooth. Yes, there are rocks, but there are plenty of dirt patches in between, and the grade of the trail today was just very smooth. So it was an easy walk. Shortly after I passed the Pulpit today, the clouds did open up on me, and so we had a lot of rain today. That's okay though, because no rain, no Maine, and rain means that we're going to have water in our streams. I'm glad for that because I have a dry patch of trail coming up ahead of me. Once I leave here tomorrow and eventually arrive in Palmerton, everything north of Palmerton becomes very dry. So it's going to be important for me to make sure that I plan my water accordingly. I'm still putting my plan together in terms of how far I'm going to go together, but I still have the rest of the day to do that. I do want to follow up on earlier. I did get a new backpacking stove today from the Cabela's in Hamburg. They were only selling the MSR Pocket Rocket 2 in that store, but that's okay because it's a very good stove. It's very similar in design to my original stove, my Pocket Rocket Deluxe. The only difference really is that one, it's lighter, and two, it doesn't have a piezo igniter, but that's fine because I can just use my lighter. It is regulated, so I can have it up to a fast boil to a rolling slow boil at a simmer. So it's a very good stove overall, 0.3 ounces lighter than my original stove. Now, the reason why I am getting rid of my Pocket Rocket Deluxe is that there is a failure in this rod inside the stove itself that holds it together. And so when you tilt the stove on its side, it can fall out into multiple pieces. It actually fell over and I had to pick up the pieces on the ground and figure out how they fit back together. One, it's a faulty piece, and two, it becomes a potential safety hazard. So I've stopped using this. I am going to be sending it home. I've already initiated a refund with REI because it's less than a year old, and it's covered under the REI 12-month return policy for its dividend members. And so I will let everyone know how that return goes, but the good news is I'll still be able to continue to boil my water and have my coffee because of my new MSR Pocket Rocket 2 stove. So that's it for today, everybody. I appreciate you joining me on my journey as always. It was a good, easy day. I look forward to another terrific day tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. I'm Bricks.